I saw this photo on Instagram the other day and it made me say out loud, yes. And I reposted it on my stories and I got so many DMs and comments saying, oh my gosh, yes, this is me. So I figured we should really talk about this when it comes to being a working mom, especially if you're lactating and trying to manage a milk supply and pump on top of all the other things that you have going on in your life. Okay, so let's actually break this down one by one and talk about it through a breastfeeding and pumping lens. We work with mothers doing this every day inside of our coaching program. I think that's why it resonated with me so much, is because I see both myself and my clients in this situation. They often have established careers that they're really proud of, that they've put a lot of time and effort into, and then it comes to motherhood and their life turns completely upside down. We've actually had several clients share their stories. I'll put a link down below. We've had physicians, lawyers, veterinarians, nurses, teachers, business owners, so many jobs. We've seen a lot. So if you want more information on how we help working mothers find peace and control in their back to work pumping experience, along with the milk supply that they need, there's an application down below. Okay, let's start with the first one. High achieving women tend to thrive in control. And this is huge. Okay. And to be honest, this is a huge focus of what we help moms with in our coaching program. But I have seen this too many times to count, where a mother, especially in working mothers, which is our main focus here on the channel, who are forced to quit breastfeeding because their milk supply literally dried up, right? And we know formula is fine, right? A fed baby is the end goal. But for many, they have specific way they want to mother their child. And this often includes breast milk. So anytime I see someone who's forced into something, it hurts my heart. But for high achieving, career driven women, this can literally break your soul, right? You're dealing with a tiny human who cannot be controlled, and so many parts of your life are probably feeling chaotic. You're probably used to being smart, successful, and the one calling the shots. You can actually have this in your breastfeeding experience too, but things have to be set in place to make it work well. We have 3 steps in our program to help you find control in your back to work pumping experience. They are pumping efficiently, creating a predictable milk supply, and then controlling and ending things on your own terms. All right. We are all about working smarter, not harder. In fact, I think we have a video on that topic. I'll put a link down below for you, because you're putting in so much work already. It's important that you make sure it's focused on the right things so that you can be in control of your time, your milk supply, and that you can choose when you want to be done. Okay, number 2 here is high achieving women tend to like to be organized. And I think this one, you can find new ways to get this need fulfilled once you step into motherhood. But yes, motherhood is chaotic and it definitely requires an adjustment in expectations. I find that high achieving women often struggle most with their self expectations, but it can also be hard for any others that are living or working in close proximity who have kind of gotten used to a certain level of organization. It can be hard for them to be graceful in this new shift that you're making. Becoming a mother not only adds a heavy workload to your plate, it also literally changes your brain. Mom brain is a real thing. I'll put a really interesting study down below in the comments for you about how your brain changes during pregnancy and motherhood. Really cool. But it is honestly difficult to function at the same level you did before having children. And then when you add expressing milk on top of this, it just gets more chaotic. Direct breastfeeding can be okay, but a lot of pumping moms, especially when you go back to work, you're going to be using a breast pump. It's a lot more tricky simply because of the need of the extra equipment, and there's a lot more logistics. You're going to have pump parts and bottles all over the kitchen. You're going to have a pumping bag you need to take to work. It's going to be on the couch, in your office, kind of just everywhere. And this is on top of all the other baby stuff, by the way. So keeping your pumping stuff organized is definitely doable, but it can be a lot on top of everything else that's already on your plate. I've worked with mothers who have tracked everything, right? And it brought them a lot of peace and sense of control. But I've also worked with mothers who found that tracking everything and overanalyzing things brought a lot of anxiety and stress. So finding a solid plan for you usually starts with knowing your own milk supply, acknowledging the barriers in your way, and then clearly defining your goals, all right, which aren't always related to milk output. I know if you're here and you're thinking about milk and it's the main focus, you can be like, what does that mean? But as a high achieving, career driven woman, there is more to your life than milk. And so I think really clearly defining what you want this period in your life to look like, milk output wise, of course, but also in other aspects, can be a really important part of being organized and working your way toward a clear goal. Staying organized is easier when you know really clearly what things matter and what don't. So start there. High achieving women often like to control their schedule, right? And holy crap, does this one get ruined in motherhood? Okay, welcome to motherhood. Your schedule is no longer yours to control. And this can be really jarring for people that are used to doing that. So your baby controls much of it. And if you're breastfeeding, your breasts probably control the rest of it. So this makes the transition back to work seem absolutely insane, to be honest. But you can find a few things to make it easier. In my experience in working with high achieving, career driven, lactating women, it's important to find the aspects that you can control. The best place to start is truly understanding your milk supply and how to express it efficiently, right? When you know these two things, you can control your milk supply and maximize your time. Efficiency is my love language. I think I've said that here on the channel before. And we love working smarter, not harder. You're already adding a lot into your schedule, so doing things as fast and efficiently as possible is key, so you can fit it all in with all of the other things that you have on your plate right now. We did a video recently on how to pump less, which was a really good one. I'll put it down below for you to watch. It talks a little bit about a concept that we teach inside of our program and really speaks to the individual aspect of your milk supply, your time, your schedule. So that would be a great one to watch. There are things you can control about your schedule. You just have to really understand all of the moving pieces and how they specifically apply to you, okay? Having a really good understanding of this helps make that back to work transition much easier too, because it's likely that you're expected to perform the same amount of work in less time after your maternity leave, right? Because some of your day is taken over by pumping and dealing with milk. And that can be kind of a hard transition. So there are things you can do to control and utilize your schedule to the best of your ability, but it is going to take some understanding, some intentionality, and just constant readjusting, if I'm being honest. Things change so much. Even within a workday, you can have a meeting run late. You've forgotten to pump hard at home. You got way less output than normal, and now you have to troubleshoot that on the spot when you have, meetings or clients or whatever you have waiting. It can be hard. Another thing that high achieving women tend to like is predictability. And if you already have your little one in your arms, you will likely know that predictability with a baby is a total joke. And when you have a baby, it's even harder. You can't reason with a baby, right? So I do want to say, no matter how you feed your baby, it's unlikely to be very predictable at all. So at least for a while. So I feel like sometimes we can blame breastfeeding and or pumping on some of the challenges that we're having. But to be honest, motherhood is hard and unpredictable no matter how you cut it. You will get into a groove and establish a baseline routine, but things change so quickly. Babies go through growth spurts just as you think you've gotten the hang of things, and then your period returns just as they start sleeping through the night, which is a perfect storm for low milk supply. You get sick or your baby gets sick, you accidentally skip some pumping sessions. Now you have to work on increasing your supply back up to the baseline. It's hard. We've also seen some more extreme things in a few of our clients, like a death in the family, a sudden job loss, a relocation, a new health concern, or extreme postpartum anxiety and depression, just to name a few. Life is unpredictable, right? And adding a new little life makes it that much more chaotic. So you don't only have to worry about yourself now, you also have to keep this little one alive. And it is constantly shifting, which I know can be incredibly frustrating when you're used to predictability, control, and doing things on your own terms. And this is one of the reasons why I prefer to work with clients long term, is because life is unpredictable. I hate meeting with someone once and then sending them on their way, knowing that they're going to have different questions, obstacles, and circumstances tomorrow and next week and next month. I much prefer to be there to continue to help them throughout their whole experience, because this experience is wild and very unpredictable. Not to mention, it's just one more thing on your list when something shifts, then now you have to go and re-find help or make an appointment or something like that. it's too much to deal with, to be honest. Actually, phase 2 in our 3-phase coaching program is creating a predictable milk supply, because even though your baby and life are unpredictable, how to adjust your milk supply really shouldn't be. All right. And that's a major goal for us. If that's something that you're looking for and that speaks really well to you too, there's a link down below. The last one on this list was huge for me. Okay. This really hit home, and it's high achieving women tend to really value external validation. As a working mom myself, I've really struggled with balancing work and home life sometimes. I love what I do, and it's often more immediately gratifying. It's validating to make a difference in the lives of the working moms who are overwhelmed, unsure, and trying to find their new normal. I remember how hard that transition was. And even now, I feel myself pulled towards things that provide this external validation, right? Things that are easily quantified: job titles, promotions, income, impact, checking things off the list. These are honestly easier than motherhood, even at the stage that I'm in now. Motherhood is generally a thankless job, and it's a long game. I mean, it's long, right? And if you're breastfeeding and or pumping, I know you're probably feeling this too. So many times a day, you are feeding, expressing with no break. You literally cannot stop. No one usually says good job or thanks, mom, especially if you have a baby, right? They're just like more, more, more. You're giving your baby breast milk oftentimes for the long-term benefits there, and you may actually never see those or notice or be aware of them. I know it feels exhausting and sometimes pointless. Like, why am I doing this? Okay. If it helps, I see you. I know how hard you're working. I know that being a working mother, especially a high-achieving, career-driven mother especially, is really challenging, especially when you have strong desires to give your baby breast milk. I know it can feel lonely, unappreciated, and uncelebrated. Our private community is actually one of my favorite places to be, because no one understands what you're going through as well as someone else who has been there before, but even better, someone who is there right now. If you want some help and support as a high achieving woman with a high priority as well to give breast milk, and you'll be pumping at work, this is honestly exactly what we do. We've helped over 250 career-driven women just like you make this transition easier and with more control. There's a link again down below if you want more information. I hope this video gave you some validation in what you're feeling. It was really meaningful for me to put together some thoughts and information into this topic because it resonates so much with me too, even now in my journey. Motherhood is hard. Breastfeeding is hard. Pumping is hard, and having a career on top of all of that is hard. If I can help make that easier on you in any way, please just let me know. Good luck. Happy pumping.